Hello there, welcome to News at 10 Sabha Television, where we get you the biggest developing news stories from India and across the globe. My name is Aishwarya and these are the headlines. 3 killed, 9 injured as 13 coaches of Vasco da Gama Patna Express derail near Manikpur station in Uttar Pradesh. Railway Minister announces compensation, orders probe. Finance Ministry clarifies it won't withdraw bank checkbook facility. Clarification after reports suggested that centre may withdraw facility to encourage digital transactions. Health Ministry asks states to take action against hospitals indulging in malpractices. Directive in wake of Gurugram-based hospital billing a family 16 lakh rupees for a dengue patient. Myanmar signs deal with Bangladesh to take back tens of thousands of Rohingyas who have fled following military crackdown. Dhaka says return to commence within 2 months. And PV Sindhu enters quarterfinals of the Hong Kong Super Series. Semi-final matches of Women Youth Boxing Championship today. 4 Indian boxers to contest for the final berth. Our top story this morning, 13 coaches of the Vasco da Gama Patna Express have derailed near Manikpur railway station in Uttar Pradesh early morning today. 3 people have been killed and 9 others have been injured. The Patna-bound train derailed at 4:18 a.m. in Chitrakoot district of Uttar Pradesh. The injured have been rushed to various hospitals nearby and officials have left for the spot. Relief operations are underway. A medical train has reached the spot and an accident relief train has also been dispatched. Railway Minister Piyush Goyal has announced an ex gratia compensation of 5 lakh rupees each to the kin of the dead and 1 lakh rupees for those with grievous injuries. The minister has also ordered an inquiry by the Commissioner of Railway Safety. He also directed the chairman of a railway board to rush to the spot. All right, so grim news coming in early this morning because a train derailment has happened in Uttar Pradesh near the Manikpur railway station where 13 coaches of the Vasco da Gama Patna Express have derailed. Now, 3 people are reported to have been killed and 9 others have been injured. Railway Minister has announced an ex gratia compensation of 5 lakh rupees and probe also has been ordered. On to some other news now. The President has given his assent to the ordinance to amend the bankruptcy code. With this, willful defaulters and entities whose accounts have been classified as NPAs will be barred from bidding for assets. The ordinance to amend the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code 2016 aims to put into practice safeguards to prevent unscrupulous persons from misusing or mitigating the provisions of the code. As per the ordinance, corporates who are undergoing insolvency resolution or liquidation under the code would not be eligible for bidding for the stressed assets. The code that became operational in December last year provides a time-bound insolvency resolution process. And the President has also cleared an ordinance amending the Indian Forest Act of 1927. The ordinance omits bamboo grown in non-forest areas from the definition of trees, thereby exempting it from requiring permits for felling or transportation. Before the ordinance was issued, the definition of tree in the Act included palm, bamboo, brushwood and cane. Now, the move is aimed at encouraging bamboo plantations, which will contribute to achieving the objective of doubling the farmers' incomes by 2022. And the Health Ministry has asked all states to take action against hospitals indulging in malpractices such as overcharging and not following the standard treatment protocols. Now, this comes in the wake of allegations that a Gurugram-based hospital billed the family of a dengue patient 16 lakh rupees. In a letter to the Chief Secretaries, the Union Health Secretary said that the alleged malpractices by clinical establishments not only compromises patients' safety but also raises concerns about accountability in healthcare costs. The centre asked the states to ensure implementation of the Clinical Establishment Registration and Regulation Act 2010, under which all hospitals can be regulated. Meanwhile, a technical committee is yet to be set up to decide on the charges of treatment for various diseases and procedures at clinical establishments, including in private hospitals. On to the other top story of the day. The Finance Ministry has clarified that it will not be withdrawing the bank checkbook facility. The statement comes after some reports suggested that the centre may withdraw the bank checkbook facility in the near future to encourage digital transactions. The ministry emphasized that while the government is committed to transform India into a less cash economy and promote digital and electronic transactions, checks are an integral part of the payments landscape. And Cabinet Secretary Pradeep Kumar Sinha will chair the first meeting of IAS officers who have been roped in as the Prabhari officers for rapid transformation of 115 backward districts across the country. The task of these officers is to coordinate efforts of the centre and the states by addressing specific developmental needs of these districts. The additional and joint secretary-ranked officers will work in consonance with Prime Minister Narendra Modi's vision of a new India by 2022. Among the 115 backward districts, 35 are affected by left-wing violence. The districts have been identified on the basis of education, health, nutrition and basic infrastructure like rural road connectivity, electrification, access to water and toilets, among others. Niti Aayog CEO Amitabh Kant had last week written to the chief secretaries of the state to designate senior officials to act as a bridge between the centre and the districts. And on Thursday, Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated the 5th edition of the Global Conference on Cyberspace in the national capital. He also launched an app called Umang that will provide over 100 services of the centre and the state governments on a single platform.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Thursday inaugurated the biggest ever global conference on cyberspace in the country.
Reiterating the transformative and inclusive fabric of our collective digital India efforts and the journey towards.
Calling cyber attacks a significant threat to democracy, he spoke of the need to train professionals to tackle them. The Prime Minister also felt that cyber protection must become a reliable career option.
We need to ensure that vulnerable sections of our society do not fall prey to the evil design of cyber criminals. Alertness towards cyber security concerns should become a way of life.
Stating that digital technology and empowerment through digital access is the aim of the government, the Prime Minister informed that it has saved around $10 billion so far by eliminating middlemen.
Financial inclusion through our Jan Dhan bank accounts. Second, the Aadhaar platform. And third, the mobile phone have greatly helped reduce corruption and broad transparency.
Sri Lankan Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe, who was also present at the event, underscored the need for a legal framework on cyberspace. Wickremesinghe is on a 4-day visit to India to boost bilateral ties.
Into the topic of creating and maintaining a safe, secure and inclusive cyberspace for all, that will in turn impact positively on sustainable development.
Information Technology Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad highlighted the role of privacy, but said it can't hold back innovation in cyberspace.
Privacy cannot become the shield of the corrupt, of the terrorists and the extremists. That's how we have to balance the whole idea.
The first global conference on cyberspace was held in 2011 in London. The theme for the current 5th edition of the conference is Cyber for All, an inclusive, sustainable, developmental, safe and secure cyberspace. More than 10,000 delegates from 123 countries are taking part in it.
As India is poised to become $1 trillion digital economy and lead the digital revolution in the world, the global conference in cyberspace hosted by India seeks to formulate and put across a robust cyberspace. The deliberations by international leaders, policy makers, industry and cyber experts would help us find solutions for challenges in the cyberspace. Reporting from Delhi, with camera person Manoj, I'm Kriti Mishra for Rajya Sabha Television.
And Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu concluded his Chennai trip on Thursday. Now, speaking to students at the SRM University, he said that education is the most important element in converting young population into national assets.
Addressing the convocation ceremony of the SRM University in Chennai, Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu on Thursday described education as the most important element in converting our young population into national assets.
You must develop the students into an integrated personality to meet any challenge. Physically strong, mentally knowledgeable, and also socially aware of his responsibility or her responsibility. Remember the great culture and traditions of this country, and remember the sacrifices that are made for the sake of this country by great people.
Praising demonetization and GST, the Vice President said reforms like these will propel India to the status of a major economic power.
To root out black money from the society, it's not a political issue. It's not for the politicians. It's for the entire society. The malady of corruption and black money, it has to be removed by all means. And different methods are there. There will be experiments and then there will be criticism this way or that way. Let the debate go on about demonetization, about GST, about all these things. Let the debate go on.
Underscoring the importance of the mother tongue, the Vice President said while students must learn new languages, they should speak their mother tongue at home to learn to express themselves better. With Panchanan Mishra, Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And Lok Sabha Speaker Sumitra Mahajan has called Kushok Rinpoche as a great influence on the people. Was speaking at an event to mark the birth centenary year of the Buddhist saint, who was also has served as a parliamentarian and a diplomat, Sumitra Mahajan called him a multifaceted personality. She noted that Rinpoche worked for the revival of Buddhism in Mongolia and is worshipped by many in that country. Rinpoche served as an Indian ambassador to Mongolia from 1990 to 2000. He was a member of the 4th and the 5th Lok Sabha from 1967 to 1977.
अध्ययन करते करते पूरा मार्क्सिज्म पढ़ा, पूरा समझ लिया कि श्रमिकों का संगठन कैसे होता, क्या होता, ये समझने के बाद फिर उन्होंने भारतीय मजदूर संघ की स्थापना की है.
And a look at some other developments from across the nation and nationwide. The CBI has filed a charge sheet against 592 people in the Vyapam scam. The names of chairman of 4 private medical colleges in Madhya Pradesh and 2 officers of the Medical Education Department are part of this list. A charge sheet was filed in a special CBI court in Bhopal in the case of pre-medical test conducted by the Madhya Pradesh Professional Board Examination or Vyapam in 2012. The agency is looking into various cases of massive irregularities in the exams conducted by Vyapam. An Assam government delegation will visit the disputed border with Nagaland today. This is following reports that Nagaland has set up a subdivision inside the Golaghat district of Assam. The delegation would be headed by Agriculture Minister Atul Bora and MLA of Bokaghat constituency in Golaghat district. The delegation would inspect the interstate border and submit a report to the Chief Minister. The Supreme Court appointed environment body EPCA has called a meeting with the governments of Delhi's neighbouring states to ensure that necessary measures and restrictions are imposed by default without waiting for an air quality to drop. The meeting will be held with the governments of Punjab, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh and Rajasthan. The EPCA is planning to devise a system under which the graded response plan would automatically come into effect when air quality dips. And in News at 10, we'll take a very short break. We'll be back with more news. Stay with us.
I'm Dr. Ravi Mehrotra. I direct the National Institute of Cancer Prevention of ICMR, which is located at Noida. I'm going to talk about how more than 60% of all cancers occurring in our country are preventable. Please keep watching Eureka.
Welcome back after the break, and today is the last day for withdrawal of candidature for the first phase of assembly elections in Gujarat. As many as 1,703 candidates have filed their nominations for the 89 constituencies to be covered in the first phase of assembly polls in the state on 9th of December. The first phase would cover 19 districts, mostly Saurashtra and South Gujarat. Meanwhile, Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi will be in Gujarat on a two-day visit for the poll campaign from today. News from the south of the country, and the Election Commission has allotted the two-leaf symbol to the AIADMK led by Tamil Nadu Chief Minister E. Palanisamy and his deputy O. Paneerselvam. In an 83-page order, the Election Commission said that the faction was backed by a majority of the party members. Palanisamy has welcomed the development, calling it the happiest day for the party. AIADMK activists also celebrated the news at the party headquarters in Chennai. The decision ended a months-long fight for the symbol between the two factions that included the OPS and the EPS camp versus the ousted leader V.K. Sasikala camp.
It's a historic day in the pages of AIADMK. In fact, in the history of independent India, many parties have broken, their symbols frozen, but no party has got its symbol back. It is only AIADMK which had split, reunited and retrieved the symbol not once but twice.
And 31 coastal districts in 4 states and a union territory will take part in a mega mock tsunami exercise. International participants will take part in the exercise to be simultaneously conducted in West Bengal, Odisha, Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu and Puducherry along the entire eastern coast of the country. Now, according to the Home Ministry, the disaster scenario will simulate tsunami waves originating due to a high-intensity earthquake near the Andaman and Nicobar Islands, which will lead to a massive tsunami along the east coast. The mock drill is being conducted through the National Disaster Management Authority and the Indian National Centre for Ocean Information Services. Participants from 11 Pacific Island nations will observe the entire exercise to take away key lessons and the best practices to be adopted while preparing and responding to a disaster situation. The exercise is one of the various activities planned on the occasion of the second World Tsunami Awareness Day, which was held on 5th of November. This is the first. The entire eastern coast of the country will participate in a mock exercise simultaneously. And the Indian Navy has got its first woman pilot. Naval officer Shubhangi Swaroop will soon fly maritime reconnaissance aircraft. Shubhangi, who hails from Uttar Pradesh, is the daughter of a naval commander. She will now be trained at the Air Force Academy in Hyderabad. 3 other women cadets, Asta Segal from New Delhi, Rupa from Puducherry and Sakti Maya from Kerala, also created history by becoming the country's first women officers at the Naval Armament Inspectorate branch of the Navy. They were inducted on Wednesday at a graduation ceremony in the Indian Naval Academy in Kannur. News from Jammu and Kashmir centers a special representative to the state. Dineshwar Sharma will begin his second visit to the state today. During his 4-day visit, Sharma will visit Kashmiri Pandit families at the migrant camps in Jammu. He will also visit the camps housing people who are displaced from their villages due to cross-border shelling. Later on, he will also visit areas of unrest in South Kashmir's Pulwama and Anantnag districts and also interact with the local youths and students there. Let's get you all the international news now. Bangladesh and Myanmar have signed a deal for the return of hundreds of thousands of Rohingya Muslims who have fled Myanmar after a recent army crackdown. Myanmar and Bangladesh signed an MOU on the return of possibly hundreds of refugees to their homes in Myanmar's Rakhine state. While the two sides say that they are working on the details, Bangladesh Foreign Ministry says that displaced people could begin to return within 2 months. A statement from Suu Kyi's spokesperson said that the pact was a win-win situation for both the countries. An estimated 6,15,000 Rohingya refugees have fled across the border into Bangladesh since 25th of August, when a new outbreak of violence began between the Myanmar military and armed militants in the Rakhine state. The crisis has been called ethnic cleansing by the UN and the US. Meanwhile, Rohingya refugees are wary of the accord signed between Myanmar and Bangladesh and are not eager to rush home across the border.
নিজৰ জাগা জমিনৰ সম্পদে নিজৰ জাগা জমিনৰ নিজটো হা ফুৰিব সম্পত্তি ইনিলে আৰাৰে রোহিঙ্গা যদি মানি লদ্দ হইলে আৰাৰে বার্মার গভর্নমেন্টে মানি লদ্দ হইলে আরা যাইব।
An External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj will be representing India at the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit, or the SCO Summit, in Russian town of Sochi on 30th of November and 1st of December. The SCO Summit is likely to discuss a regional security scenario besides several other issues. Swaraj will be in Sochi on 29th of November and will have bilateral meetings the next day. Apart from attending the summit, Sushma Swaraj will also attend the restricted meeting of the heads of delegations on 1st of December. India, along with Pakistan, became full-fledged members of SCO in the month of June. As an SCO member, India is expected to have a bigger say in pressing for concerted action in dealing with the terrorism, as well as on issues relating to security and defense in the region. And now an update on the political crisis in Zimbabwe, and Robert Mugabe's former right-hand man, Emmerson Mnangagwa, will be sworn in as the interim president of Zimbabwe today. Mnangagwa returned to the country on Wednesday to take the reins, promising to lead the nation into a new and unfolding democracy. He had fled to South Africa 2 weeks ago, only to return home on Wednesday to a hero's welcome. It was his dismissal as the vice president by Mugabe that led to the ruling party and the army to intervene and force Mugabe to quit. Mugabe, meanwhile, and his wife have been granted immunity, allowing the couple to remain within the country. Now, the swearing-in ceremony will be at the 60,000 capacity National Sports Stadium in Harare, with the organizers calling on Zimbabweans to come and witness a historic day. Ahead of the swearing-in, Mnangagwa urged the Zimbabweans to remain patient and peaceful.
I pledge myself to be your servant. To all genuine patriotic Zimbabweans to come together. We work together. No one is more important than the other. All Zimbabweans.
Obviously, there's some economic fundamentals that need to be addressed, and I expect and I hope that the new government will address those things. I also hope that we have a better economy. With a better economy, it impacts us directly. So advertisers, that's how we will survive.
Let's get you all the sporting action, and the semi-final matches of the AIBA Women Youth Boxing Championship will begin today in Guwahati, and 4 Indian boxers will contest for the final berth. Jyoti Gulia will bout against Kazakhstan's Zansaya Adrinmova in the 51 kilogram category. Shashi Chopra will take on Namoon Mankhor of Mongolia in the 57 kilogram category, and Ankushita Boro will play against Thailand's Choknok Saksri in the 64 kilogram category. Also, Neha Yadav will be up against an opponent from Kazakhstan. A total of 7 Indian boxers are into the semi-final of the championship. News from the badminton court, and ace Indian player PV Sindhu has entered the quarter-finals of the ongoing Hong Kong Super Series tournament. Rio Olympic silver medalist PV Sindhu beat Aya Ohori of Japan in the second round of the women's singles 21-14, 21-17. She will now face a China Open champion Akane Yamaguchi. Also in the another game, ace Indian shuttler Saina Nehwal and HS Pranoy failed to cross the pre-quarter final. Saina Nehwal lost to China's Chen Yufei 18-21, 21-19, 21-10, while HS Pranoy lost to Karumasa Sakai of Japan. On to cricket news, in the first Ashes series between Australia and England is underway at Brisbane. On day 2 of the test, Australia are now 76 for the loss of 3 wickets, with batsmen Peter Hanscombe and Stephen Smith at the crease. Earlier, England were all out for 302 in 116 overs. This is the third time that England have reached the 300 batting in the Ashes series at Gabba. England have not won a test at Brisbane since 1986, and Australia have not lost a test on this ground since 1988. And Sri Lanka have won the toss and elected to bat first in the second test match against India in Nagpur. The visitors are now 27 for the loss of 1 wicket, with the batsmen Luhiru Thirimane and Dimuth Karuratne at the crease. The Virat Kohli-led Indian team is missing 2 of its key performers, Bhuvneshwar Kumar and Shikhar Dhawan. Now, Vijay Shankar replaces Kumar. The first cricket test between the two nations had ended in a draw. News from the world of football, and the organised committee of FIFA competitions has announced spots for the final draw of the FIFA World Cup 2018. Now, all the teams are divided into 4 pots each, containing 8 teams. Now, pot 1 contains the highest ranked teams, while pot 2 contains the next highest ranked teams, pot 3 contains the second least ranked teams, and pot 4 with the least ranked teams. Now, pot 1 has Russia, the World Cup hosts, Argentina, that have entered 3 finals in 3 years, Belgium, the first European nation to qualify for the 2018 World Cup, Brazil, France, Germany, Poland and Portugal. Speaking about pot 2, that contains Colombia, Croatia, England, a team which has some youthful talent this time, Mexico, who have made it to the last 16 at every World Cup since 1994, Peru, who have entered their first World Cup in 36 years, Spain, Switzerland and Uruguay. In pot 3, we have Costa Rica, Denmark, who demolished Ireland 5-1 in the playoffs, Egypt, Iceland, which became the smallest country ever to take part in the World Cup final, Iran, which secured a back-to-back World Cup qualification for the first time, Senegal, Sweden and Tunisia. And finally, pot 4, that contains Australia, Japan, which has qualified for the last 6 consecutive FIFA World Cups, Morocco, Nigeria, Panama, Saudi Arabia, Serbia and South Korea, which has participated in 9 consecutive and 10 overall FIFA World Cup tournaments, which is the highest number for any Asian country. And that's it from me and my team in this edition of news. But news and updates continue on your channel. Thanks for watching.